All right, guys, welcome back to Tech Talk with Jeremy. Today, we're going to be getting into the world of security cameras. Specifically, we're going to talk about the WYZE Cam Pan 360. Okay, this is a 1080p camera with night vision. It's the third version of this camera. The second version did not have outdoor capabilities. So this one is an indoor-outdoor IP65 weatherproof rating camera. So, whether you have it indoors or outdoors, you're going to be covered. Okay, now it is very budget friendly. So at the shooting of this video, I did check Amazon.com. The summer sale is still on there. It's $29.98, but it did go up on WYZE up to near $40. But you can still get the summer sale at $29.98, so still an awesome deal. But even if it does go up to the $40 on Amazon, still a really good deal for a security camera. Which is really important to my wife and I. We wanted cameras that we could put in the girls' room and the boys' room, and also down in the basement, which is typically their play area. And so this is a camera system that's very budget friendly for those that are budget minded. Now I wanted to, before I got into the specs, I really wanted to get into unboxing it. So we're going to cut to that video now so you can kind of see what's inside the box, and we'll go from there. All right, so today we are going to be unboxing this WYZE Cam Pan version number 3. As you can see, it does have color night vision, indoor and outdoor, pan, tilt, and zoom, which is really helpful for us. We're going to use this in the basement. That's where our kids play, and sometimes if we're upstairs and they're downstairs, if we hear them crying, this is a good way just to really quickly see what's going on, to see if we need to run down there and see what's going on. So we do have a lot of options here. We have 1080p full HD camera viewing, color night vision, 360 by 180 pan tilt range, 24/7 recording, IP65 weather resistance, we'll talk about that, motion and sound detection, 120-degree wide angle lens, privacy mode, two-way audio, and then of course you do get more with a subscription, person, vehicle, and pet and packaging detection, full-length event recording, and you can view the cameras in your browser. Now it does promise that you have night as clear as day with color night vision. We'll test that out. You have Apple Store, so you have Google Play. So on your iPhone or any type of Google device that you may have, you can definitely get this app, and we'll go through the app as well. It's a very awesome app to use. Works with IFTTT, works with Amazon Alexa, and Hey Google as well. So let's talk about it. All right, so let's get into this box. Let's see what we got in here. All right, we do have our quick start guide. That's going to just walk you through the fastest way to get up and going with this camera. Inside, we have the actual camera itself. So you can see that it does pan. You have a connector on the bottom that will connect to the one that goes on the wall, which is this guy over here on the side. And then in this box, you're going to have everything else you need, which will be your cord and the adapter for the cord to plug in, and then the install stuff you need for the wall. And deep down in there, it's actually on the other side, is that cord. It's going to plug in. We'll see how long it is once we get it all set up. All right, so getting to some of the specs. So it is an indoor-outdoor camera. It does have that IP65 weatherproof rating. It remotely spins 360 degrees and tilts 180 degrees. So it can get a full range of motion, which is really helpful if you're trying to figure out what's going on. You hear a noise maybe in the house and it's not directly in the camera view. You can actually turn it and you can see what's going on. It has automatic motion tracking, which is really cool, but also kind of a little freaky, to be honest with you. If you have it turned on, it almost feels like someone's watching you, right? Because it's following you. So we keep ours turned off, especially to calm the nerves of the kiddos so they don't think someone's watching them. But we keep ours turned off, and it can still capture movement and sound and video, which is awesome. It does have a pretty big range of viewpoints. So it does have a privacy mode, which is really nice. Let's say that you're watching a show at night and you have one in your living room, and you decide to wear your jammies and you don't want anybody to see the jammies, or you don't want to record it. It goes into privacy mode and will not record. Now, the video frames per second in the daytime, it is 20 frames per second. Nighttime is 15 frames per second. The video resolution is 1080p, like we discussed before. It does have a digital zoom of it to 8 times. It has night vision and color night vision, so you can actually see color, and we'll give you an example of that in a video in a little bit. It integrates well with Alexa, Google Assistant, IFTTT, supports up to 256 gigabyte micro SD card, And it does have an operating temperature of between -4 degrees Fahrenheit and 122 degrees Fahrenheit. So that should cover your bases pretty well, unless you live somewhere in the world where it gets a lot cooler than that, or in Death Valley where it gets a lot hotter than that. But it does have a 1-year warranty, which is really nice. So it does come at an affordable price. That was something really important to my wife and I, as I discussed before. We needed a budget camera because our kids eat like crazy, so we spend a lot of money on food, and we needed something where we could spend $33 to $40 and have a really good system. Especially right now, it's on sale currently today, and you can pick that up at Amazon. I'll put down some links down in the comments below. That also helps our channel make sure that we can continue making these videos. But I want to show you kind of a real world example. So this next video is going to be me in my girls' rooms, and we'll kind of cut to that now. All right, as you can see, I am waving at you. This is to show you, kind of the daytime with lights on. I just turned on the tracking, so you can see it tracking me around as I move around. It's not super smooth in how it tracks you. It does kind of, go and then stop and then go, and it's really rigid, but it does track you. So it's a good example. And next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, the color night vision. So, we do have really dark curtains in this room, so it is pretty dark during this video, and you can see the color vision is pretty awesome. All right. So just a couple things. I mean, the 1080p, is it super high quality? No. As you can see in that video, it's not the clearest picture, but it's good enough to really figure out what's going on. If your kiddos are going crazy, you can see exactly what's going on, and you can tell them to knock it off because it does have a loudspeaker. It might shock them a little bit because it can be pretty loud, but you can speak to the individual on the other side if you have it outdoors. If someone's delivering a package, or they want to deliver your DoorDash, you can talk to them, tell them to leave it at your door. There are a lot of features like that are really cool. But it is a little bit lower resolution, so just keep that in mind. All right, so let's take you through that WYZE app. So as you can see, we have all of our cameras here. We're going to focus in on the girls' room because that's where we did kind of our video recording in there. If you wanted to talk to somebody, you would hit the microphone right here, and then it kind of turns on the sound as well, so you can hear what's going on in there. We'll go ahead and turn that off. If you wanted to pan, you could pan the 180 degrees tilt, up and down. And then also, from side to side, where you get the 360. We won't go all the way to 360, but you can see the functionality there, so you can kind of see what's going on in the room, right? So you don't need to have the motion on. You can really, whenever you want to check on your kiddos or what's going on, you can use that pan feature, and it's really nice. Now, if you had an SD card, this is where you'd see the different recordings you have. We can go ahead and take a photo there. If you want to record, this is where you'd record, and then you can stop the recording there. If you want to turn on the track motion, this is how you would do it, and it would track, whatever's going on in there. But like I said, we don't like doing that. You can have, it does have a pan scan feature, so you can, set different areas where it will scan. We don't use that either, just because, it would be doing that, and the kids would be like, well, who's watching us? And we don't want the kids to be afraid that someone's watching them. So you can also see kind of your album there, but for like the detection setting, where you can see events, like this will show you all the events because we have event recording turned on. Now getting to some of the settings, like you can turn on detection settings. So we have it set at 50%, so not super high. Doesn't need to be super high in sound detections. You can do motion tagging if you want. You can set a detection zone. So right now you can see there's nothing set in there, but you can set where you want it to detect motion. So if you have an outdoor camera, let's say you have a flag, like we have a US flag out there, we would set this to ensure that it doesn't record the flag, it's just recording whoever brings the package to the door, right? So you can turn that off because we don't use that. You have your micro SD card settings. You can set your notifications. We don't like getting the notifications because you'll be notified all day long. Something to set maybe on one that's outdoors. We use Blink for that, and Blink does notify us when someone comes to the door, but we don't do it for WYZE because we're walking around all the time. It would be sending us notifications all the time. You can set alarm settings, so smoke alarm or CO alarm. So if there's ever that type of alarm, it's going to let you know, especially if you're away. That's a really good way to get notified. And then you kind of go into your advanced settings, where you do night vision, auto on or off. You can do camera status light. We turn that off. You can rotate image 180 degrees. That's if it's upside down and you want it to be right side up. That'd be a good thing to do there. So just a lot of good settings in here. You can set automations, like if you're on vacation or you want to snooze your camera or I'm away. So, a lot of good different settings in there for you to take advantage of. All right, so let's talk about some pros and cons. So, it does have that affordable price. We talked about that. It was only $29.98 for their summer sale, up to $40 sometimes, but still, it's very budget friendly. It does have that indoor-outdoor versatility, so it has that IP65 weather resistance rating. So, whether you have it indoors or outdoors, it's a great option. It does have that 360-degree pan with 180-degree tilt, right? So, pretty awesome to see that full range of motion. Has that color night vision, so you can really see in the dark. It does have motion tracking and detection. I'm going to kind of cut to a video right now. This is on the WYZE website where you can kind of see a UPS driver, and at the end there's a little bit of a surprise, but that motion tracking is really good for situations like that for sure. It does have the two-way audio, so it has a speaker and also the microphone. Local storage options, so it supports up to 256 gigabytes micro SD for continuous recording. So that kind of helps you with not having to go with the subscriptions. It does have smart home integration with Alexa and Google Assistant and IFTTT for seamless smart home connectivity. It does have that privacy mode, so you can point it downward and it won't record. If there's times where you just don't want to record you. Also quiet motor, so it's a little bit quiet. I wouldn't say it's totally quiet, but it's quieter than the last version, and it's very easy setup. All you have to do is really scan a QR code, and the device will let you know when it's ready. And as long as you're connected to your Wi-Fi, it's really easy to set up. Now, some of the cons. Okay, so there is really average video quality, right? It's 1080p, so not like some of the competitors where it's at 2K or 4K, but still, for a budget-friendly camera that can pan and tilt, I think it's fantastic. Audio quality issues, so recordings and two-way audio suffer from distortion, especially in noisy environments. There is a subscription required for advanced features, so that is one of the downsides. I do go with a subscription just because it gives us 14 days, of continuous video recording. But I can see, if you're used to a camera system where you don't have to have that subscription, it can kind of be annoying. There are some motion tracking glitches. It can fixate on irrelevant like objects, like bugs or trees. So that can be a little bit of a hinder there. If you want it to be outdoor, you do have to get the Outdoor Power Adapter, which is not included. It requires a separate $17 adapter for safe outdoor use, which increases the total cost. There's no 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi support, so it is limited to the 2.4 networks, which may cause some connectivity issues in congested areas. Inconsistent waypoint functionality, so you do set waypoints, and some users report that the waypoint feature is unreliable with the camera kind of resetting to random points. And then there's no Apple HomeKit support. So, it does have that connectivity with Alexa and with Google and IFTTT, but unfortunately not with the Apple HomeKit just yet. All right, that's going to do it for this video. We thank you so much for watching. We do ask you to hit that like, subscribe button, also that notification bell to know when we come out with more videos. Check out those links down below if you like the WYZE Pan version 3 camera, and we'll catch you in the next one.